Hello, my dear aspirants. I am Akriti Kanchi, your mentor from Prep IAS, and we have been doing newspaper together, and I'm trying to help you read newspaper in UPSC relevant manner. A lot of students have asked in Telegram and YouTube comments that 18th, 19th, 20th newspaper, must-read articles have not come out. We will discuss it today. There was a Good Friday, so there was an off, but don't worry, you have not missed anything. The entire 3 days important newspaper, I'll bring it tonight. But for now, let's start with today's newspaper, that is 21st April newspaper. There are several important news here, right? And it's important from both prelims and mains point of view, right? Disaster management kind of questions are also covered, right? Essay ethics, amazing examples have come in today's newspaper. So let's start with 21st April, front page, without wasting your time. So this has happened. Just, more discussion on cloudburst can come in coming days newspaper. But right now, you should just know that there has been a cloudburst in Jammu and Kashmir, destroying a lot of property, killing 5 people. This comes under GS paper 3 disaster. Okay, it's not talking about disaster management. It's just talking about disaster. Cloudburst is one of the types of disaster happening in the mountainous regions. Okay, so this has happened. Destruction left by cloudburst. And there are landslides or landslips in Ramban district of JNK. So it can act as an example if the question of cloudburst comes. Let's move to the next article. Right. So again, I told you, a lot of questions from disaster point of view. Summers have come, right? So extreme heat has come. 1 day in March was having a lot of heat waves. Okay, and 2024 was considered to be the warmest year. Right? So heat action plan to focus on cooling public spaces. So now states are also having a definite plan to how to deal with heat stress. Okay, so this comes under GS paper 3 disaster management. So you should know few strategies how to deal with disaster management. This is Delhi government strategies. Okay, the plan will include deploying cool roof technology at high footfall areas, besides creating cool room in government hospitals. So the places which have a high footfall, they'll create a cool roof technology. So what is this cool roof technology? It works by applying reflective material such as solar reflective paint or tiles on rooftop that will result in deflection of solar radiation. Okay, so this kind of solar radiation techniques that the roof of the buildings will be painted, okay, with such a paint which will solar reflective. So the building will not be that warm. Generally, concrete is heat absorbing. That's why buildings are more warmer, right? So they will install cool roofs at several bus terminals and hospitals, okay, and they're expected to reduce indoor temperature by 2-3 degrees Celsius. Other than the cool roof technology, the other thing is heat stroke room. Okay, so the RML hospital has a heat stroke room. There's also, you can mention in the strategies, which is equipped with a tub filled with ice and cold water. So people who just suffered through heat stroke will be immersed in that, and that way it will help them to come out of the heat stroke. Let's move to the next article. Yeah, so you should know what is tanneries. Okay, in Kanpur, tanneries in tatters and environment. The tanneries have a lot of environmental and health hazards. Okay, this comes under GS paper 3, environmental pollution and degradation. Okay, and also issues with the tannery industry. Okay, so Kanpur is known as the leather city of India. Okay, leather city of India. It has 200 active tanneries. So what has happened? National Green Tribunal is hearing a case that raises grave concerns about environmental pollution in districts of Kanpur. Okay, due to leather tannery effluents flowing into Ganga and the soil. Okay, so what are the this dangerous toxic metals? That is heavy metals like chromium and mercury. This chromium and mercury are very toxic and it can lead to public health crisis because it is being flown into the Ganga river. Okay, so Kanpur, what is tanning? Tanning is the process in leather making in which the hide which has been already taken from an animal is processed to remove hair and tissue and is built into a resilient material. Okay, so when the outer layer of animals are brought, it is clean of tissue and hair, then it is made into resilient material. How it is made into resilient material? It is done by tanning. Name comes from a chemical called tannic acid. Okay, tannic, the acidic agent that helps cure the hide. So it makes it a resilient material. Okay, so NGT directed the UP government to conduct health camps The high level of mercury and chromium is high level of mercury and chromium has been observed in the blood samples of people working in this area. Lot of respiratory, neurological disorder, behavioral changes and skin issues have been seen because of it. Okay, a lot of things like that. So you should know about these issues. What are the issues with tannery? It can come in prelims related question also, the statements, and it can come in the mains related question also. Let's move to the next article. Okay, the amazing example here. Okay, examples are the thing that we read newspaper for. Very important, because general current affair can be found anywhere, but examples will make your answer unique from others. So this is a great example. A Rajput woman is on a mission to end child marriage in Rajasthan. So this is a Rajput woman whose name is Sonu Kanwar. She herself was married at a very young age of 12 years, and she had to go through, she became pregnant at the age of 17. So she suffered a lot as child. So having gone through such problems and such, difficult childhood, she made sure that she will start awareness campaign around child marriage. Okay. So this example can be used in ethics and ethics, how individuals can also contribute a lot. So she, she's a 28-year-old woman who drives in a two-wheeler, and meets, she addresses small community meetings and has, stopped several dozens of child marriages. It's a great achievement, although she has saved life of so many children, right? And her husband is also supporting her in this. So great example where people from their own problems try to help society, that this shouldn't happen to others. A good way of leading life. Okay, let's move to the next article. Okay, very important article. The entire article is important. If the question comes about heat stress in GS paper 3 about disaster management or GS paper 1, right, the entire article can be used. So this comes under GS paper 3, disaster management strategies, heat stress. Take heat waves with short and long term measures. So generally what happens, whenever heat waves come, government tends to take short-term measures. Long-term measures are now not being taken. That's what the article is talking about. The year 2024 was the warmest year on record at about 1.55 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial level, according to World Meteorological Organization. So 2024 was the warmest year, 1.55 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial level. Okay. So what is heat stress? When the outside temperature reaches close to our body temperature of 37 degrees Celsius, the body fails to release the internal heat which is generated as part of the basal metabolic rate. So generally the outside temperature is lesser than the body's temperature and there is a balancing going on. But when the outside temperature is more than or equal to body's temperature, this metabolic rate gets affected. It leads to heat stress which can affect multiple organs like kidney, liver, brain, etc. Heat waves have health challenges like deaths, and also socio-economic impacts. Okay, I mean, national income, national economy also gets affected. Climate change affects farming sector. Farming sector stress is there. It's difficult for farmers to go out and work in such heat, right? So livestock also die, animals also die, which leads to loss for farmers. Okay, heat stress can reduce livestock production. Food production, for farm productivity also goes low. So India is generally a labor intensive industry. Okay, we have a lot of population. If you are doing good, I mean, one of the advantages that companies come to us is we have cheap labor. Okay, so we are labor intensive, especially in agriculture and construction sector. So these areas, since we are labor intensive, these areas will be affected and overall economy will be affected because they will not be able to work at that time. So loss of work hours and loss of job reduce personal and family income will reduce. So consumption will also reduce and national income will also be affected. In India, up to 75% people are dependent on heat exposed labor, and the estimates say that heat stress results in economic loss of 3 to 5% of GDP. Okay, as temperature rises, another issue is electricity. As the temperature will rise, electricity demand will increase. Power cuts will happen, that will also affect industrial production. Okay, so farmers getting affected, laborers getting affected, in the electricity cut, so industrial production gets affected. So overall national income gets affected. Women, so it is also, within society, women are worst affected because the social norms, they have to work in the kitchen which is hot, they have to wear the entire clothing which makes them more heated up, right, due to cultural requirements, and the space allocated to them is also not great. Okay, so urban areas generally have high temperature than rural areas. That means we human beings have more contribution to the heat, right? In 2013, Ahmedabad, Gujarat, became the first municipal corporation in Asia in 2013, 12 years back, to develop a heat action plan. So what are so India's national program on climate change and human health, they are now, all of them provide heat advisories through National Disaster Management Authority, NDMA. Okay, so what are the components of heat action plan? So there are 5 components. Firstly, early prediction of heat waves, so that you can raise alerts. Second is increasing awareness amongst people how to behave around heat stress. Third is preparing and getting the health system ready, okay, the hospitals ready. Fourth is long-term measures, not just short-term measures, long-term measures like planting trees, making building of such material that, it absorbs less heat, okay, increasing number of trees, gardens. This type of long-term measures is there in the component. And fifth component is collecting, analyzing the data, so that the targeting and planning is done better, okay, but these are not executed properly. So that's why suggestions is given by the editor. Every state should consider developing and updating its heat action plan by learning from the best practices of the world, okay, and they should also factor humidity and not just temperature, okay. Local vulnerability assessment should be there. So mention all these words in your answer, okay. We read right now cool roofing technology, heat stroke rooms, okay, and now factoring in humidity, local vulnerability assessment, clear accountability, responsibility. Second suggestion is most Indian cities have mortality due to heat stress, so interpreting available data. Third is like, United Kingdom have started heat health alert for both daytime and nighttime. Okay, so that gives better predictions. For the long-term preventing measures needs to be strengthened. That's what we are not working on. Long-term measures has been mentioned in the component, but we are not working upon that. And fifth is, from 3 Asian countries data, we know that staying indoors is not the solution of saving ourselves from heat, because in poor families, the indoors of their house is also not cool, okay. So people in poor neighborhood and confined space that is surrounded by high-rise building like slum areas in cities will experience higher temperatures, okay. So even staying home will not help for poor people, right. It is time that more Indian cities start summer or cold shelters similar to winter shelters. Some states are bringing cold roof policy, right, that as we talked about just about Delhi state. Seventh is local authorities should carry out a long-term, local authorities do carry out a lot of short-term measures like drinking water, etc., but they should also make sure that these things are provided. Just giving suggestion that you should drink water is not sufficient. Availability of it in the facilities is also important, okay. So these are such as very specific suggestions that you can write, and with every passing year, India and globally temperature is rising, so these issues are becoming more and more grim and serious, okay. Let's move to the next article. Enabling legislation, one great example of Tamil Nadu, this comes under GS paper 2, okay, local bodies, okay, local bodies. So affirmative action is being brought by Tamil Nadu. Affirmative action remains one of the most effective ways of addressing historical wrongs and systemic deprivation. You should know this. So the recent attempt is, so Tamil Nadu is trying to give reservation and, keep the seats reserved for disabled people in the panchayat and urban local bodies, both in the panchayat local bodies and urban local bodies. It has introduced 2 bills, okay. So, and they will keep one, that to nominate persons with disabilities to all town panchayat, municipal councils and municipal corporation, and at village panchayat union council and district panchayat, so that of course the dignity and dignities should be given to them, but their representativeness in decision making will help life of disabled people better. Okay, so the 73rd and 74th Amendment Act will be further bettered by Tamil Nadu. As we know, 33% reservation was given to women, which a lot of states has increased it to 50%. So a lot of states are improving it further, right? So this is a great effort of Tamil Nadu for disabled people. Let's go to the next article. So this we had read I think a week back newspaper, Empowering the Most Marginalized, GS paper. This comes under GS paper 2, welfare schemes for vulnerable population by the state. So Telangana became the first state to notify categorization of scheduled caste after the Supreme Court's landmark judgment, upholding that there can be sub-classification of SCs and STs within their own percentage quota. Okay, the separate quotas. What happens within SCs and STs? Few communities, only few castes are using the entire quota, who have become little, who have progressed, and some communities are not being able to use. So they have divided SCs and STs also into group 1, group 2, group 3. Okay, so the least in that category, and the percentage will be given like that. So the group 1 will not be able to use the entire quota for them. That is the benefit of subcategorization. Let's move to the next article. The US visas issued to Indian students declined by 30%. So a xenophobic government and a very localized, government which is focusing on the local things, like Trump was going to do it anyways. The decline in number of visas issued to Indian students was the highest. So the decline in number of visas, so Indian student is 30%, which is very high compared to even 4.75% reduction of Chinese, Vietnamese and Japanese. So worst affected are Indian students, whose visas are denied by 30% compared to previous year. Okay, let's move to the next article. Now this topic we have been discussing, I think 8 times it has come in the newspaper, diving into Supreme Court's verdict on governors. So this comes under GS paper 2, Constitution, Federal Provisions and Governor's Role. Okay, so Supreme Court recently gave a landmark verdict in which it decided timelines within which governor and president had to give the assent to bills of state legislative assembly. It reinterpreted Article 200 and 201. Okay, so that's what this article is talking about. That Supreme Court. So governor was using a pocket veto, and Supreme Court found that there was no justification of governor's action, and under the constitution, governors were entitled neither to exercise a veto nor a pocket veto over state legislative assemblies. Okay, and so these things, the president as well, when considering the state bills, could not withheld their assent for so long. So Supreme Court did very revolutionary things here. Like first, it kept timelines for governor and president. Second, it used Article 142 to give complete justice, and all the bills that were lying, for assent for governors and president were cleared by Supreme Court. Okay, so but critics argue that court overstepped. So it was maybe judicial overreach according to a lot of courts, and it was breaching in the other branches of government like legislature and executive. But defenders say that governors' years-long unjustified delay of state legislative bills, made Supreme Court, they had to go with this realistic option. So these are the pros and cons. The in favors and in against. Okay, and the framers of Constitution, somehow, because we were being independent at that point of time, India was very divided. They had more of centralist view, although it was federal, but centralist view, because India could be divided and India could be broken, right? So India's constitution was always in favor on the tilt of strong union executive. Okay, so that is what. But now, since we are a stable democracy, so some power should be devolved to the states also, according to the editor of the newspaper. Let's put the next article. Okay, so next article is small quiz. Okay, so why was April 21? Today is Civil Service Day. So why was this day, April 21, chosen as Civil Service Day? When was the first such day held? So it was chosen as a Civil Service Day because Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel addressed the probationers of IAS in 1947 when India got independent at Metcalfe House, Delhi, on this day, April 21. That's why it is considered Civil Service Day. Okay, and it is the second question is British Governor General who modernized the services is considered the father of civil service in India. Who was he? So he was Lord Charles Cornwallis. Okay, you should people who have read Modern India should already know it. The All India Services has 3 civil services, that is IAS, IPS and Indian Forest Services. Okay, and most of the UPSC aspirants know about this. After which former Prime Minister is the academy that trains IAS officers name. It is Lal Bahadur Shastri. Okay, Labasna, we all know. Unlike the blue passports issued to ordinary Indians, what is the color of the diplomatic passport? It is maroon color. Okay, this is also basic information you should have. Okay, let's move to the next article. Yeah, so 2 cheetahs moved to new home in Madhya Pradesh. So we all know cheetahs introduction plan has been came into 2023 from South Africa to India, right? So GS paper 3 conservation measures. So now they have released 2 cheetahs into Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary, which is also there in Madhya Pradesh. Okay, so the cheetahs Prabhas and Pawak has moved to their new home into Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary. So we should know where it is. It was brought from Puno to Gandhi Sagar. Gandhi Sagar is spread between Mandsaur and Neemuch district of Madhya Pradesh, and Chambal River is flowing through the sanctuary, dividing into two parts. Chambal River is flowing through Gandhi Sagar Sanctuary. Cheetah project and ambitious initiative. Gandhi Sagar Sanctuary is the second home after Kuno National Park. Basic information. Let's move to the next article. ISRO satellites forecast wheat production assess crop condition. Okay, this comes under GS paper 3, achievements of Indians in science and technology. ISRO, in a study using its satellites, has estimated that total wheat production from 8 major wheat growing states will be 122.7 million tons, and they are using CROP, Comprehensive Remote Sensing Observation on Crop Progress. The name is CROP, which is a semi-automated and scalable framework developed by ISRO's NRSC, National Remote Sensing Center. Okay, it enables real-time monitoring of crop sowing and harvesting, and it is estimating how much Rabi crop is going to be harvested. It is using optical and synthetic aperture radar (SAR) remote sensing data sets from RISAT 1A, OceanSat 3, and ResourceSat 2A. And the 8 major wheat producing states are Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, Bihar, Gujarat, and Maharashtra. Okay, you should know all this. And so let's move to the next article. We have a article related to Nepal. So since Nepal is our neighborhood, we should know what's happening there. So there is a lot of protest going on, pro-monarchy party protest near PM's house, and they are seeking a Hindu state. So first time it's happening in the world that hundreds of supporters of pro-monarchy party in Nepal near the high security zone housing prime minister are demanding the reinstatement of monarchy and establishment of Himalayan nation as a Hindu state. Okay, this comes under GS paper 2, India and its neighborhood. Okay, the last page, science page of the day. So this is a good initiative, a good experiment. Scientists find green way to recycle toxic perovskite solar cells. Okay, this comes under GS paper 3, science and technology development and their application. It will have great effect in solar cells. Okay, so scientists have developed a new process, perovskite solar cells, to recycle it. So what was the case? So mainly solar cells are made of silicon based solar cells, which is very expensive. So its alternatives, cheaper way to make solar panels are called photovoltaics using crystal structures called perovskite. So these are cheaper ways. But what is the problem with these cheaper ways? That perovskite crystals contain toxic elements like lead. So when you do the recycling and processing, okay, so then the toxic element can be go here and there, and that's why they were trying to improve the processing. Okay, so they have worked on the processing, and earlier they were using toxic organic solvents like dimethyl formamide to recycle, but now they have brought a new water-based recycling solution, and they have this a new way to degrade and recycle used perovskite, and they are able to get high quality perovskite crystals. And this solution is made of sodium acetate, sodium iodide, hypophosphorus acid, and they reassembled the solar cells layer by layer and found that the efficiency was almost the same as using fresh material. So great thing in recycling, very important for our nature. This is a great example which can be used in essay or even climate change related questions. Rajosari Senik, it's a small hamlet and village rising above water. Okay, so this can come under GS paper 1, climate change. In essay, if a topic is coming related to climate change or something like that, you can start from this case study. So this is Rajosari Senik, which is a hamlet in Indonesia's central Java province. In 1970s, the distance between the village and the shoreline was 7 kilometers. So, it was a proper village on land, okay? But later on, with global warming and rise in sea level, it is not totally immersed for entire year, okay? So, earlier people used to grow, like 20, 30 years, 40 years back only, they used to grow rice and vegetables, but not anymore, because now they are submerged in ocean water, and now they have to switch to fish ponds, okay? And most of the people have left the hamlet, but few people are still living by creating stills under their house, stills, okay? So one family is living there, they are raising the length of stills, okay, and they are planting 15,000 mangrove trees a year for 2 decades to keep the tides from flooding her home. So these are issues that people are facing in the near the shorelines and near the water bodies. So you should use this example for sure, Rajosari Senik. That's it for 21st April. Thank you.